Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we'll talk about the basic configurations and application of ACLs. This is the third part in a three-part video that I used to cover ACLs, access control lists, in HCIA Datacom version 1.0. In the first part, we covered the ACL overview. In the second part, we covered the basic concepts and working mechanisms of ACLs. This is the third part where I'll be walking through the basic configuration commands and typical configuration examples of ACLs. So the basic configuration commands I will discuss in two different approaches. First, I'll talk about the basic configuration commands when we are configuring basic ACL. And after, I'll talk about the basic configuration commands when we are configuring an advanced ACL. So when configuring a basic ACL, always the first thing we want to do is to create our ACL. We'll use the command ACL and specify the ACL number, or we'll say ACL number and ACL, and then we write the ACL number, and sometimes you want to specify the match order as the config or auto. That creates the numbered ACL basic type, and it gets it into the ACL view. Now we can also, of course, create a basic named ACL using ACL, specify the name as ACL name, and then specify the name that we want our ACL to have, and use the keyword basic, and also give an ACL number if we want to use the ACL number. Again, we can specify the match order if we wish to. The default is the config match order. After we are into the ACL view, by using option 1 or option 2, each of these creates an ACL and gets us inside the ACL view. The second part is to start creating rules in our ACL. So in this example, we are in ACL 2000 view, and then we can use rule and specify the rule ID. This is optional. If we do not specify the rule ID manually, then the system will auto-generate a rule ID. So we specify the rule and the rule ID, the rule keyword, rule ID, and then the deny or permit statement, one of these two. Now this is required, and we specify source and add the source address and the source address wildcard. Sometimes you specify any if we want it to be any IP address, and we can also specify the time range. So right here I have a typical example of configuration for a basic ACL. The requirements are to prevent a user host on the network segment 192.168.1.0/24. This user, we want to prevent them from accessing the network where the server resides. The server resides on that network 10.1.1.0/24. It's not just to access the server, but that network on which the server resides. So after the configuration is complete, the ACL will filter out the data packets whose source IP. Now, I hope we don't get confused here. We are using filter out because we are going to apply this ACL to a traffic filter. If we were applying this ACL to another tool, then we wouldn't say it's filtering out data. We talked about that. So all data packets whose source IP address are on this network will be permitted, and all other data packets that are not on that network will not be permitted. Or excuse me, all data packets that are from this network will be denied. They will not be permitted. Excuse me, that's what we want. We want to prevent, and then all other data packets will be permitted. Sorry about that confusion. So there are a number of steps, 3 steps. First of all, we'll configure IP addresses on all interfaces, the interface on the router and on the server, the interface on the router, and then the interfaces on the PCs. I will configure full connectivity, then create a basic ACL on the router to prevent the network segment 192.168.1.0/24 from accessing the network where the server resides, we shall use the command ACL2000 to get into ACL view and also to create ACL2000. Because it's ACL2000, we know that that is a basic ACL. Now we are inside ACL2000 view. We shall create a rule by saying rule deny source, and we specify the network segment. The wildcard we are going to use to mean that we want all IP addresses on a /24 of the specified address is that 0.0.0.255. And then we say rule permit source any. Now remember, when we talked about the ACL rules, we say there is an implicit rule at the bottom of these ACLs, 4,290-something million, and so on and so forth. That rule will deny all traffic by default. If you create a deny rule like this and you want the rest of the traffic to be permitted, always remember to explicitly permit the rest of the traffic using this rule. Rule permit source any. That means that this rule will be executed before the implicit rule at the bottom of every ACL. Well, after configuring, getting into the creating the ACL and getting into the ACL view, and then configuring the rule to deny and also the rule to permit the rest of the traffic, we will apply the ACL to a traffic filter, or we will invoke the ACL using a traffic filter. So configure traffic filtering on the inbound direction of gigabit Ethernet 0/0/1. So we'll get into gigabit Ethernet 0/0/1 view and then use the command traffic filter inbound for ACL2000. So we are invoking ACL2000 for every traffic that is coming into the router at this interface. And then we'll quit the interface view. So using that, we would have applied the ACL to that inbound interface. So as traffic comes in, the ACL will identify the traffic, whether it's from that network. If it's from that network, it will be permitted. It will be blocked, excuse me. If it's from any other network, it's going to be permitted to the destination. So in the second part, I'm going to talk about the basic configurations of advanced ACLs. Now, we'll create the ACL, and we can create that ACL using the ACL number, or it can be ACL name. So ACL number, and we specify the ACL number, and then the match order config. This is an optional, it's optional to add this. Or we can do a named ACL name, specify the name we want, advance, and then specify the ACL number. And again, we can optionally specify the match order. After that, we can create rules. When we are creating rules, depends on whether the protocol is IP or whether the protocol is TCP. So as you can see the format of the rule right there, specify the rule ID and then the statement, is it a deny or permit, then IP destination, specify the destination address and its wildcard. Source, specify the source address and its wildcard. You can specify the time range, you can specify the priority, type of service, precedence. There is quite a lot of parameters you can specify for advanced ACL. So if it is TCP, again, you can see the difference right there. Would be dealing with TCP, and then of course you also still specify the addresses for the source, the destination. You can specify the port, the port range. You can all these parameters you can specify depending on requirements. Right here I have an example which I advise everyone to try out in their ENSP. Just fire up ENSP, set up this topology, and configure your network. First of all, you would configure IP addresses on all devices and router interfaces, then create ACL 3001. We say advanced ACLs range from 3000 up to 3,999. So if this number is within that range, we know that is an advanced ACL. So we go ahead after creating the ACL and getting into ACL view, we go ahead and create the rule. In this case, it's a rule deny IP source that as long as the traffic is headed to that destination. Of course, this depends on the requirements. In this case, the departments of a company are connected through the router, and to facilitate network management, the administrator allocates IP addresses of different network segments to the research and development department and to the marketing department. The company requires that the router prevents user hosts on different network segments from communicating to ensure information security. So we do not want research and development to be able to reach marketing, and we also do not want marketing to be able to reach research and development. What this means is that we are going to set up an ACL, two ACLs on this router. One of them will be invoked at this point inbound, which prevents this traffic from going this end. Another one is going to be applied or invoked at this point to the traffic filter, preventing traffic coming from here as long as it's heading there. Now, traffic which is coming from this side, if it's going to the internet, will go through. Traffic which is coming from the research and development, if it's going to the internet, will go through. That is the idea of what we're trying to do. So we shall, of course, create the ACL. After creating the ACL, we shall specify the interesting traffic that we are interested in. In this case, it's traffic coming from 10.1.1.0 with a 0.0.0.255 wildcard. That is traffic from the research and development department. We shall go ahead and specify another ACL that identifies a different set of traffic, the one that is coming from 10.1.2.0 with a 0.0.0.255 wildcard mask, as long as it's headed to the research and development. This is coming from research and development as long as it's headed to the marketing department. Now, after specifying our ACLs, the next thing we need to do is to simply invoke them in a traffic filter. So we'll go to Gigabit Ethernet 0/0/1. That's that interface right there. And we apply the ACL in inbound direction, preventing traffic that is coming from there from coming from there and going to that direction from being forwarded. And then we shall come right here and again invoke the ACL, applying the traffic that comes from there as long as it's headed to that direction. That's the purpose of traffic filter inbound at that interface, and also at this interface, traffic filter inbound and invoking ACL 3002. So feel free to fire up ENSP and try out these configuration commands. That brings us to the end of ACL's principles and configuration. I hope this has been informative for you, and I thank you for viewing.